My biggest, oh gosh, I made a song. It's called Daddy Issues. I did it on my Fupa on Fleek tour, of course. And I wrote it with Joey Fatone in mind. And I posted the video and I DM'd it to him. And he responded to my DM thanking me. I know. And I'm like, I love you so much because the song's for you. My husband's like, you can never meet him because I mean, we don't have whatever the hall pass is, but also
it's negotiable.
I could never, but also it's Joey Fatone.
Hi there. Welcome to the Connecting KC podcast. I'm Rachel.Kilmer, also known as Rach the Realtor on the internet, where I love, connecting all things KC. I'm a metro area real estate agent, retired sports reporter, and mom, and probably too old to call myself a TikToker, but honestly, that's how we got here. You can learn more at www.ratetherealtorkc.com. But this show is all about introducing you to all of the movers and shakers, interesting people, heartfelt stories, and funny quirks that make this vibrant community home. So let's get right to it with today's episode of Connecting KC.
Welcome into Connecting Kansas City, where I am so excited to be joined by the very internet famous Elisabeth Wykert. She is a stand-up comedian, actress, and content creator based out of the Kansas City, Missouri area. You may have seen her recently on TikTok, but she has been in the entertainment industry since 2013. She just completed her nationwide Fupa on Fleek tour, which is an iconic title, and is starting an ongoing live variety show in St. Joseph, Missouri. Elisabeth, thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. You have been on my little rectangle screen for several years now, over and over. Brings a smile to my face every time I see you. So I have to know how this started. How did the dancing leotard Elisabeth come to be?
Well, I love leotards and I love the 80s. And so I've collected a lot of random leotards over the years. But in 2020, the Kansas City Chiefs made it to the Super Bowl. And my first thought was, I need a gold leotard and some red leggings, which was obviously everyone in Kansas City's thought. And then I had it in my closet, and I just one day I was like, I want to wear this to Target. And I did, and I made some videos, and it was really fun. And that was my first video that went very viral on TikTok, and that was in February 2020. So it was right before the pandemic happened. And then the pandemic happened, and I had already started this little thing just randomly. And I'm like, well, if I'm going to do this, then I'm just going to move it outside, because anybody who's having to drive while in this crappy time, they're obviously seeing the worst case scenario. There are essential workers. There are people who are fighting all of the things that the world is going through. And I thought if for just 10 seconds, they're driving down and they look over and they just see me gyrating in a weird outfit, then maybe their day wouldn't be just so awful. And that's how it is.
Amazing. Yeah. Every football fan's first thought when their team makes the Super Bowl is, I need a leotard in my team colors.
Exactly.
So fast forward, and now you have 633,000 followers on TikTok and counting. When you first started this, it sounds like it was more for the people in real life, that you were trying to just bring a smile to their face. How quickly did you pivot and realize now there's this whole virtual world that is enjoying my dance routines as well, and continuing to kind of feed that and entertain them as well?
Well, I've been uploading videos to the internet since 2008. It was just kind of sparse. And then when TikTok came out in 2019, I was like, okay, this is finally my chance, a platform that's taking off. I am going to set stock in this. So I did do a lot of research into TikTok, and I watched and I kind of saw what it was doing in 2019. And then I started just playing around. I was posting 3 times a day, and I just did whatever. It could have been talking, it could have been a trend dance, it could have been whatever weirdness, it could have been my stand-up. I was doing a lot of things in entertainment. So I was just kind of throwing everything out there and seeing what stuck. So I was trying to break into the internet sphere, but overall, my goal when I did TikTok was, I want to get an audience so that way I can bring them and see me live, because I was doing live comedy. I'm like, I want them to come buy tickets to my show. So how can I kind of morph these two worlds.
Yeah. Well, it worked beautifully, clearly. How was the Fupa on Fleek tour? And was that your first tour?
Yes, that was my first tour. Well, 2020 happened and I fell in love with stand-up in January 2020 because I introduced my first song in my act. And I was like, oh, okay, this is really fun. 2020 is going to be my year for live comedy. And no, it was not. So I've been like anxiously wanting to do like a lot of live comedy. And then thankfully, because of the online platform, I was able to go to whatever city would have me. And it was a lot of work and it was really hard, but it was really fun and it had a lot of cool experiences. So yeah, it was different.
Did you plan the whole tour yourself, or do you have a team that's helping you, or kind of what's your business structure right now?
Man, my business structure is that I have undiagnosed ADHD and I should not be doing so many things.
That is a superpower.
I am dying. I'm struggling over here. Struggle bus. It was all me. Besides my husband, my husband's the one that films me, but I do everything else within my account. And it was pretty much 95% me. It was a lot.
So like calling up venues, booking dates, selling tickets, like you're wearing 85 different hats. What was the worst part about that, and what was the best part about that?
Worst part is definitely trying to get venues to contact you. I emailed so much, which was another full-time job, which is also why I'm stepping away from that this year and just focusing on local, because you don't realize how many times you have to email somebody and email over and over and all the different venues. And then people are like, try this city. And I always tell people in the comments, what are some small local venues outside of a big comedy club? Like, I would also love to perform at an improv or a funny bone or whatever the local like big club is, but they aren't replying to my emails because I don't have management. So what's like a small little coffee shop or something that you see local bands at, and I'll reach out to them. And that was more how I could find places.
That makes sense. Did your family travel with you, or did you stay on the road the whole time, or come back in between shows? What was the tour life like for you?
It was a little all over the place. My family did come out with me for the West Coast tour because it was 4 cities in 7 days. So I was going to drive it anyway, just because of how it was lined up. And I was like, you know what? It's summer. You guys all might as well come with me. So, which my children, they were 7 and 1. Wait, she didn't have her birthday. Did she have her birthday? No. So 6 and 1 at the time. The 1-year-old had just turned 1 and the other one was 6 going to 7. And they were rock stars in the car because it was Kansas City to Arizona, which is a 12-hour trip plus a 2-hour time change. So rock stars. Absolutely.
That is amazing. So 1-year-old, probably too little to really comprehend what mom's doing. But what does your 6, 7-year-old think about your comedy and everything? She's probably just used to it now.
Yeah, she's been my biggest fan since day one. Her name's Stacy because Stacy's mom.
I didn't know her name was literally Stacy. Wait, we need a moment for that. That is the fullest send on a joke I've ever heard in my life. You named your child so you could be Stacy's mom. I thought it was a joke.
I know everyone thinks it's a joke. I'm like, absolutely not. It's
like
real.
Bowing down over here. Like,
I gave her a cool middle name, so if like I do actually become famous and she's like annoyed by me, and that song like somehow revives in her generation, that she can go by her middle name instead.
There you go. That's the kind. Oh, I'm dead. That is so funny. Wow, I am parenting completely wrong over here. Okay, wow, I'm totally sidetracked now. So, does she like have interest? Is she like a performer too? Like, do you think she's going to follow in your footsteps and really want to be on stage and in front of people? Like, I know my mom was a teacher, so I was like, I will never be a teacher. You know, like when you see it too close, I think then sometimes it has the opposite effect.
She's my number one hype girl. Like, she lives up to that, where she's just like all about mom. Like, she has a playlist on her iPad because she chooses her music, and it is Elisabeth Wykert playlist, and it has all my songs, and she like knows them all, and it's so cute. And there's still a lady who was in the audience at the Arizona show, or not Arizona, San Diego show who got footage of her dancing and singing along to my songs in like the audience. And I'm just like, I need that. But it was like after the show, she told me and it didn't process right. And I was like, I should have gotten that from her. Like, and I'm like, I need this footage because she's just like such a good hype. But I don't think as a career wise that she's going to be a performer. She just, not her personality. Like she loves music. I always call her DJ Squiggles. Like I think she'll be a DJ maybe, and that kind of performance. Or she might go into science because she really loves the science field.
That is amazing. I love that. It's like the reverse Kris Jenner. She's out there with the video camera. Like, you know, like, I'm so proud of you, sweetie. Oh, so good. So is stand-up comedy your full-time pursuit right now? And do you have, it sounds like you're working on a variety show in St. Joe. What else do you have going on in the entertainment world?
Well, I mean, content creation is like the number one just because it's the one that makes the money. So, and I also love it. Like it's, I mean, literally last week, I'm making this weird video and I posted it up yesterday. And like I had my grandma character and I'm just like, I'm like, how is this my life that I get to post these videos and then I get like money through ad revenue and whatnot? And I'm just like, this is crazy. So it's such a fun job for that. I love stand-up. The variety show, I wanted to do that for a long time where I basically, my goal is to bring other famous people that I know that are super fun and talented and bring them to St. Joe because that's the city I live in and just bring fun things to the area and make this place a little bit more hype. So St. Joe is where they have Chiefs training camp. So I'm like, it's not a bad city, guys. Like we can have cool things, but like there's not a lot of cool things to do here.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So the content creation, yeah, all of your videos are hilarious, but you always have this like one-liner that's like buried in there that just sends me every time. So like I can see how beautifully that translates to stand up. But what is your like creative process with creating content? Like where do you have your epiphanies of like, you know what I'm going to do this week is like put on a green leotard and like prance down a parade route. Like, you know, what's your creative process like?
I have a long list of ideas of wonderful things that I have dreamt up in my head that are really fun to do. And I have done only a very small fraction of them. So I do have a lot of different ideas. And most of the time, because I try to do at least one song video a week where it's like a throwback. And I call that like the triggering the elder millennial sleeper agents. Like I'm using like these triggering songs to awaken us that we're not like old. Like why do we stop living after 25? People who tell me like you need to grow up, stop acting like a kid. I'm like, I'm 35. I'm a third of the way done. Are you telling me from 25 to 70 like we just have to be robots and like play by all of these weird boring rules? Absolutely not. So I tried to do one of those and it's whichever one kind of like pops into my head where I'm like, oh, that could be fun. And I sometimes will have to go through playlists and kind of like see what's calling me that week. But then the other things, sometimes it can be as simple as I got the idea on like 9 a.m. and then by 11 a.m. I'm filming because I'm like, okay, this one's really good. I have to do it. And then other ones I'm like, oh, I had this idea like a couple months ago and I really want to do this. So that's what we're going to do this week.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. So I am a real estate agent and I get like 40% of my business from social media. A big chunk of that is TikTok. So my livelihood somewhat hinges on TikTok. However, it's just a portion of my business. And like, if TikTok goes away, I can pivot and still do my job. When you're a content creator, that is your income on the platform. Have you been following this TikTok ban stuff and are you worried about it? Does your humor translate on Instagram as well? Because like I struggle on Instagram for some reason. What's your take on like all the stuff that may be coming down the pipe with TikTok?
TikTok, they tried to ban it in 2020. I said back then, and I say the same thing now, if it was such a threat to national security, then they would stop making military, like you can see active military posting TikToks where they're at. Like if it was such a big deal, that would be the first to go. They'd be like, guys, you cannot post while you're on active duty in the Middle East or wherever. Like, so clearly it's not a threat. It has different motives. But so I don't really care as much. TikTok, the thing with the music though is really driving me nuts because I can only post half of my content right now on TikTok. And I do translate very well on Facebook and Instagram. My numbers, I went crazy on Facebook like 2 weeks ago. I got 80,000 new followers in a week. I was like, whoa. So that was fun. And Facebook is my biggest revenue earner. So I am a huge fan of Facebook.
Interesting. This is a little inside baseball for non-content creators, but do you manually go post your video? Like, do you create your videos outside of any app and then just upload them manually to all of them? Or do you have a workflow where it automatically posts to all of them? What's your process like?
I don't know how those things work for setting up schedule posts, and Instagram has it in there that you can schedule the post. And I tried it one time and it immediately posted it. So I was like, never again to that. I will get them normally ready before it's posting, but sometimes I'm not because I'm just like doing all of the other things that I'm like, oh, it's 2:00 and I like to post in 2:00. Better get this video uploaded. But I normally edit in CapCut because it is the quickest and they have captions. So I like CapCut and I use it on my desktop, not my phone normally. I used to use Final Cut Pro, but they don't have captions. Like, what's your problem, Final Cut? Like, get some freaking auto captions. Yeah, so I am a CapCut user. I used to just edit right into TikTok. And then once CapCut became so versatile, I switched over to that.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you for satisfying my curiosity about that. When you were talking about only being 35 and people acting like you're this ancient dinosaur, like, what are you doing dancing? Are you familiar with the children's book Verdi? Verdi. I read it when I was a kid, and it's about this snake that like is being taught how snakes like shed their bright green skin and then become brown when they're adults and they're boring and they just like lay on the branches and stuff. And the snake is like, even after he sheds his skin at the end of the book, he still likes to jump around from branch to branch and stuff. I don't know. It just reminds me of, I remember being a kid and being horrified. Like, I don't ever want to be a boring adult. Like, what are we doing here? And yeah, it is like so easy to like fall into that and be like, oh, here we go, clocking into work again. But you bring like your videos, I think, bring out that youthfulness. And I think that's why so many people are drawn to you, is like, it's just very relatable to see someone our age, so old, but like, being a mom, being a woman in your 30s, but also still fun and living. So I love that you do that. Have you had like, what's your biggest celebrity encounter? Like, have you ever had a celebrity like comment that you were like, oh my gosh, like freaked out about?
Okay, I have two. That Thomas Lennon, the creator and star of Reno 911, he started following me on Instagram like in 2021, I think. And because I did the Reno 911 new boot goof in, it's either 2020 or 2021. And I posted it, and one of the other stars on Reno 911 like had shared it, and like I became like Instagram friends with her, but I'm Instagram friends with him, and he like still actively sees and like likes my posts and stuff. Like, and that, to me, that's just like really fulfilling as like an artist, to be seen by another artist in your field and to just have them tell you like, I approve, you're funny. I'm like, thank you, that's all I want. But my biggest like, oh gosh, I made a song. It's called Daddy Issues. I did it on my Foop on Fleek tour, of course. And I wrote it with Joey Fatone in mind. And I posted the video and I DM'd it to him. And he responded to my DM thanking me. I know. And I was like, I love you so much because like, this song's for you. My husband's like, you can never meet him because I mean, we don't have like, whatever the hall pass is, but also like,
it's negotiable.
I'm like, I mean, I could never, but also it's Joey Fatone. Ah.
I was an NSYNC girly, diehard NSYNC girly. My guy was JC. I've never known a Joey girl. So like, you have to be the one and only that like, was like, of those 5, Joey's it. Joey's my guy. Like,
He's it now. That's the thing. He wasn't it back then, but like the point of the song is like that as you get older, like I think it's so weird that people are like, I mean, whatever. I'm not trying to shame anybody's likes and stuff, but like cougars and like also men who are like attracted to like 19-year-old girls. I'm like, as I've gotten older, like boys who are like 21 are not hot. Like men who are 35 and older like me and that like look like they're taking care of children who cry in the middle of the night and they're like, no honey, you stay in bed. Like that I can tell, like Jason Kelsey, like, oh my gosh, like he looks like he's just gonna like support me in all of my emotional needs. So that's what's hot. Is so I'm a late bloomer Joey Fatoner.
That's amazing. I've noticed that I'm 31. So I've noticed that over the last like 3 or 4 years that suddenly I'm not attracted to the NFL players. It's the coaches that I'm like, wait a minute. Like, you know, and I'm like, oh, when did that happen? Like
daddy issues, but the right kind,
Exactly. Oh, so good. Okay, well, we are running out of time here. I can talk to you forever. I just am curious, what do you see the future of your career looking like? What's your dream with this? Do you want to be touring nationally eventually? Is that the goal? Or where do you see this going over the next 5-10 years?
Man, 5-10 years is crazy. Especially, I just was thinking yesterday how I worked at an office job and I quit 5 years ago. And I was like, oh, I'm seeing my 5-year plan in full effect right now, which is really cool. Right now, I am just focusing on 2024 of being happy. I took on a lot of stress in 2023 and not in an unhealthy way. It was just a lot. So this year, I'm just focusing on doing things that bring me joy. So right now, that's the live show. I do hope that it continues to just create fun opportunities where I get to work with other extremely talented people, whether they're famous or not. And I think that's what's really filling my cup. And I think 5-10 years down the road, if I get to continue to just make fun things, creative things, and I can pay my bills, like that is the goal. And also I would love a giant house with a basketball court because my kid loves basketball. So I do want the basketball court in there. That's one of the 10-year goals. Okay. So we'll put a little extra dreamer on there.
There you go. I love that. I love the evolution of that answer of like, wow, like I was like getting chills. Like, that's so beautiful. I love it. Like, it's so moving. And then like, but I still want a big house with a basketball court. Like, let's keep it real. Yeah. So good. That is awesome. Okay. Last couple of questions I ask everyone that comes on the show. First one is, what is a great meal that you've had out and about in the Kansas City area recently?
Oh man, I can't get past Gates. Their little brisket on top of the bread. I just eat the brisket and then I eat the bread and I'm not supposed to have the garlic bread because it's buttered and I'm not supposed to have butter, but I eat it anyway. I risk my life. My throat closes just a little. It's not crazy. It's just a little. If I have soda, it's not going to be, and I don't eat anything after, but it's worth it. And like, I always have to get, I have to get Gates. And then now that they have Whataburgers up there, anytime I'm in Kansas City, I normally stop for Whataburger because it reminds me of In-N-Out.
I can see that. Risking our lives for barbecue is a very Kansas Cityan answer. Okay, last question is, where can people find you? What's your handle on all the platforms? Do you have a website? How can they get in contact with you? All that good stuff.
My name is Elisabeth Wykert, spelled with an S, not a Z, and then Wykert. I mean, you got to be able to spell it, but I'm the only Elisabeth Wykert in the entire world that I have found. So I have all of the social media handles under that, and that's why I love my name. However, it's hard to spell. But if you type in Elisabeth with the S and you get that far, I'm at the point where I like pop up. Like, what? I'm famous.
And how many other Elizabeths with an S are dancing around in leotards? It's pretty easy to narrow it down.
Just Elizabeth Leotard, you'll find me.
And do you have a website where they can follow your shows and stuff?
I put everything on Linktree. I went back to the Linktree. Everybody's doing it, so I'm doing it.
Gotta keep up with the cool kids. Yeah, for sure. Okay, easy enough. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today and also making the content that you make. It's just like a very wholesome, great thing to see come across the feed every day. So appreciate it. And hopefully I will drive by and see you dancing on a sidewalk around town sometime.
Well, thank you so much. Just bring the leotard and join me.
Oh, I'll be there. Wouldn't miss it. Wouldn't miss it. All right, guys, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye.